Digimon Story Time Stranger is the latest installment in the Digital Monsters video game series and takes the Digimon Story formula to the next level, setting the bar much higher than previous installments. If you're new to the channel, I'm Gym Leader Ed. I solely cover content for the monster taming genre. This includes guides, news, breakdowns, and of course reviews. I had previously been contacted by Bandai Namco in order to fly out to PAX West and play Digimon Story Time Stranger early, then subsequently was given a full version review copy and have played through it in its entirety. Today we will be looking at Digimon Story Time Stranger under a critical lens and dissecting the aspects of it that are most important in order to make it a cohesive monster taming experience. We will briefly touch on the game's story, but don't worry, no major spoilers. Then we'll go into the gameplay and progression, then finish off with one of the most important aspects of a monster taming game, the monster selection itself. That said guys, make sure to sit back, relax, subscribe for more monster taming content, and let's figure out whether or not Digimon Story Time Stranger is worth the cash. Alright, so as stated in the intro, I'm not going to be too crazy with the story because I want you guys to enjoy it for yourself, especially since this is a story-driven game. In this world, you are an undercover paranormal investigation agent, essentially, part of a group called Adamas, and your job is to investigate anomalies, which are basically stuff that's strange and usually Digimon involved. No one really knows about your organization or about the recent presence of phase electron lifeforms, which have been dubbed Digimon. You start to investigate an area that had been previously walled off as the masses are protesting the lack of transparency from the government. Upon investigating, there's a strange girl that seems to know you, a giant mech, and an entire war breaks out at the top of the Shinjuku building and things get blown up. You then get transported to some sort of strange shrine that's host to a Digi-Egg, try to fight off this strange black shadow thing, which results in the egg falling into the human world. Eventually, you're sent back to the past 8 years and are essentially given a chance to rewrite history in order to stop the war that took place that has been dubbed the Shinjuku Inferno. You end up meeting with the same girl again and eventually a Digimon known as Agiomon, who, let's just say, has a destiny leaving him with some pretty big shoes to fill. Eventually, we find our way into the digital world where there is a war between Digimon and other Digimon known as Titans, and we basically have to intervene with these major conflicts as they take place. Now, there's a lot more to this, especially within the second major act of the game. There's a ton of time travel shenanigans, some really dark stuff happens as well, and throughout the game, you're sort of seeing this relationship between Inori, the girl that seemed to have known you at the beginning of the game but no longer does, and Agiomon, as she sort of sees him as the Digimon personification of her younger brother who had passed. During the first portion of the game, I was almost feeling like the story was kind of generic and I wasn't expecting too much. However, once we got to the point in the game where we discover Agiomon's special abilities, if you will, things got really spicy and I became quite interested and invested in the characters. You get that on one hand, you have to do your job as an agent of Adamas, and on the other, you want to protect your friends kind of vibe. And then you learn more about the Titans, who are a lot more than just, quote, bad Digimon, and given some context as to why they are the way that they are. And at first, a lot of things seem like they're going as you'd expect, and then the story just gets turned on its head and goes wild. I can't really say anything specific about the end game, but some of the cutscenes towards the very end of the game are insanely epic and honestly gave me the chills. Anyways, without going too far into this, even if the game wasn't a Digimon game and these were just like more classical JRPG characters with like powers or whatever, I still think that the story in and of itself would carry this game and make it a great RPG experience. Speaking of which, the gameplay. Now, I made an entire video talking about some of my early thoughts when I went to PAX, and that'll be linked below if you want to hear more about some of the improvements that were made from previous Digimon Story titles in more depth. However, let's talk about the basics first. So combat is turn-based and you have control over 3 of your own Digimon, while also usually having access to Agiomon and at times other guest Digimon as well. The combat system is extremely fleshed out and has a lot of depth to it without being overly complicated to learn. Digimon have basic stats that you'd expect: attack, defense, HP, stamina, intelligence, which is magic attack, and spirit, which is magic defense, and then there's speed. There are a wide array of different moves that you can use that will either do magic damage, physical damage, will buff your own team, debuff the enemy team, inflict some sort of status condition, etc. Digimon can also be equipped with different equipment which will raise their stats or provide some sort of resistant benefit. Every single Digimon has its own unique special move. A lot of them have multiple, and these are specific to that individual Digimon itself, not the line, that specific Digimon. And all of these have their own unique animations as well. Keep in mind, there are 450 Digimon in this game, and they have unique animations for every single special move that are catered specifically towards those Digimon. Let's also remember that there are the default animations for every other move that they can learn, which is pretty much every move in the game, because this time around, instead of Digimon learning moves and keeping the moves they learned, you can actually unequip moves from one Digimon and move them to another. The game also features a robust evolution system where Digimon are given several choices as far as their evolutionary path is concerned. Digivolution as a whole is branched, so many Digimon can evolve into several different options, then many of these options have branching options of their own, and ultimately you're left with a situation where just a handful of Digimon ends up giving you access to hundreds. Being able to evolve into the highest stages requires your agent rank to increase, which you can do by progressing both the main and side missions within the game. These also come with their own unique skill tree, adding a ton of benefits like buffing certain Digimon based on their personalities, allowing the tamer themselves to take part in combat through the cross arts abilities, and there are even ways to make Digivolution easier. On top of all of this, Digimon Story Time Stranger has completely overhauled the personality system that was present in previous Digimon Story games. Instead of a personality just simply boosting growth to a certain stat and being sort of set in place outside of item usage, this is now an ever-changing system that allows you to shift the focus of your stat growth based on how you interact with your Digimon, either in between battles or at the Digifarm. The Digifarm has received a major buff from that in Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth as well, where you can now completely customize it, have your own Digimon undergo training and pay yen to skip said training, feed your Digimon in order to increase their bond, and a whole lot more. Now, Digimon also have a bond stat which can be raised as you battle with them, as well as a talent stat which will be raised as you evolve and devolve them. As you devolve Digimon, they will carry over bonus stats based on their personality and how much they've leveled up, and this will increase their level cap, so utilizing the evolution system is a lot more important than it might be in other monster taming games. Now, I want to say that I have guides and breakdowns for pretty much every single aspect of the game you can think of, from evolution to the agent skills to personality. I have a Digifarm guide that's coming out very soon. Tips and tricks are coming out tomorrow, etc. But I just wanted to emphasize that this game is very easy to learn, but has a massive amount of depth and will keep casual and hardcore RPG fans alike very happy. Again, I've talked about some of the quality of life upgrades that have been established this time around, but I'll rapid fire through some of them now. The ability to convert Digimon, digivolve them, load them, etc. have all been moved to the menu, so you no longer have to travel to a separate place to do that. Agent rank is a better evolution requirement than individual Digimon level in my opinion, because now you don't have to waste time leveling back up to where they once were after de-digivolving in order to get them to the next stage. A lot of the time, the bonus stats will just let you immediately digivolve back to whatever stage you want to get to. Overworld encounters are now a thing, and you can attack Digimon right out in the overworld, which gets rid of the RNG associated with first strikes and back strikes in Cyber Sleuth. You can now de-digivolve into Digimon you have not yet discovered if your Digimon's personality lines up with the target personality of the Digimon in question. Most of the evolution items in the game can all be found in one place instead of just randomly strewn across the game. As I stated previously, you can take a skill off any Digimon that has learned it and attach it to a different Digimon, minus the special skills of course. Using items and swapping your Digimon no longer takes up a turn. The cross art mechanic, allowing you to either use a heavy damaging attack or boost your own team as sort of a limit break, is way better than the combo system from previous games in my opinion. You can now ride on a ton of Digimon, like a lot of them have ride capabilities, which is awesome. There's a quick menu allowing you to do things like convert new Digimon after battle. You can now favorite Digimon so you don't accidentally delete them. There's an evolution history menu now, so you know exactly which forms your Digimon have taken in the past, and there's just so much more. The progression in the game also feels great as well. I never at any point felt like I was too OP or too underpowered in order to take on a new challenge. Boss fights in this game are a lot of fun, with each one having its own special mechanics and generally having an opportunity for you to block them from charging their special attacks if you break their posture. The various areas within the digital world are also insane in terms of how much detail and liveliness was put into them. I don't think we've ever seen a monster taming game with this level of care when it comes to crafting its environment. There are so many Digimon that can randomly occasionally be talked to, even though they don't actually do anything in terms of the main story. There are so many houses that you can just enter, seemingly for no other reason than just to make the world feel full and lived in, and I love it. The different biomes of Iliad are also gorgeous, each one having its own unique charm and environmental interactions, like needing to swing across cliffs with Palmon, crawling through vents with Aegiomon, or traveling to the bottom of the sea with Waymon. The game also has a ton of side content, including side quests, of course, and also outer dungeons that can be found throughout the game, all of which have their own unique challenges and will reward you with items and Digimon. There's also a special challenge in each one of these, which will give you an even better reward. Once you've found one of these outer dungeons, they can be challenged at any time in the in-between theater, which also happens to be the place where the Digifarm is located. I honestly love everything about this world and the gameplay within Digimon Story Time Stranger, and the only real complaint I guess I could say I have is that I wish the in-between theater, which is the place that has the Digifarm, outer dungeons, as well as a shop, was just accessible from the menu. Instead of having to like find spots on the map where it's accessible, there are a ton of these spots, mind you, so it's not like this is a major gripe, but it would be nice if I could just pause the game, press a button that says go to in-between theater, and just teleport there. I'm also not a huge fan of the fact that there is essentially day one DLC. If you bought the Ultimate Edition of the game, you get access to the Season Pass, which essentially is going to give you access to upcoming DLC content for the year, which I do think is a good thing that we are getting more Digimon content, but there are a few things in the base game that you can actually only get if you have the DLCs, like a ton of cosmetics, which is no big deal, but there are also some special grinding areas and stuff like that. I didn't use them for my playthrough, so it doesn't really have an impact on this review, but just like Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince, it seems that these deluxe versions of games having spots where you can more easily grind for items, money, etc. is becoming the norm. Now, finally, let's talk a little bit about the Digimon roster. So keep in mind, this is coming from someone who was a big fan of the first few seasons of Digimon as they premiered in the West. So my perspective is of someone who was a really big Digimon fan when I was a kid and got really back into the franchise a few years ago, which I think is going to be a pretty common story we see with a lot of people playing the game. There's definitely been a bit of a renaissance of Digimon in the West. Anyways, the game's roster consists of a ton of Digimon you'll recognize from the original series. You have all of the iconic Digimon from the first two seasons of Digimon Adventure. The Digimon Tamers Digimon are there. It's got the Digimon from Digimon Frontier. It's got all the iconic Digimon from the movie. The Olympus 12, of course, who play a major role in the story. The Royal Knights are here as well. The Demon Lords, and a ton of other fan favorites. I did make a video a few days ago with a longtime Digimon fan and expert, Karn X, who shares a very similar sentiment to myself, basically saying that the Digimon roster is really good. There are over 450 Digimon for you to convert, Digivolve, battle with, etc., and you can dump a ton of hours just into experimenting with how all of these Digimon play. They've also added mid-battle form changes and Digivolution under certain circumstances, which I will have a video going over very soon. All in all, I think that Digimon Story Time Stranger is the best Digimon game available, not only on modern hardware, but out of all the Digimon games I've ever played. It's a direct upgrade from Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and Hacker's Memory, adding a ton of quality of life and features, including the ones I've mentioned earlier. There's also skippable dialogue and cutscenes, a much more fleshed out and detailed world, and a whole lot more. The gameplay loop is extremely addictive and rewarding, and provides something for all types of players, with there being 3 difficulty options to start with, then 2 extra Mega and Mega Plus difficulties for those looking for a challenge. If you're a fan of monster taming games, JRPGs, or both, this is a must-buy as you can easily throw dozens of hours into it, interacting with all of the side content and collection of Digimon. This game honestly was even better than I was expecting after playing it at PAX, and I'm really excited to start my New Game Plus playthrough after I'm done putting this video together. I know a lot of people were looking at the full game price and that it's in line with other major gaming releases, but honestly, I'd say it's worth it. That being said, if you are a Digimon fan or a fan of monster taming in general, I will have a ton of Digimon Story Time Stranger content for you guys, going over every aspect of the game you can think of. I've already put out a ton of guides and breakdowns, and I'm going to be going full force once the game's public and I'm able to start uploading. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notified on all of that, and for all the latest monster taming updates as well. And we'll see you next time. Peace.